trance. Unheard voices rise tonight. Let them speak up and shine their light. No more shadows, no more shame. Say the hurt, say the name. They ain't Superman, they're human too, and they need someone to pull them through. We cry in silence, but not tonight. Tonight we scream, we claim the right. Boy or man, hear the plea. Let me feel, let me be me. Unheard no more. We take a stand, not just a bird and just a burden, not just a man.
He's drowning in a sea of be okay, but who saves the hero at the end of the day? They clap when he stands, not when he breaks. Can't show weakness, too much is at stake. Every boy told not to feel too deep, just hold it in, go back to sleep. While fear and doubt eat him alive, and still he smiles to survive. This ain't weakness, this is real. This is asking just to feel. Let the boy cry, let the man rest. Let him breathe and not be less. You say man up, but unheard voices rise tonight. Let them speak, let them shine the light.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're peeling back the layers today on what feels like a silent crisis. Something that's, well, quite literally tearing apart the fabric of our communities. You see this particularly across Africa. It's this profound problem, often hiding right there in plain sight, kind of insidious, really. And it has a devastating impact on the most vulnerable among us, our children, and specifically our boys. So today, we're doing a deep dive into, well, the untold truth of why our child support system, the very thing designed to protect kids, is failing our boys, especially somewhere like Botswana.
Yeah, what's really fascinating and quite concerning is just how pervasive this is. But like you said, it gets shockingly little real acknowledgement, not enough attention paid.
Right.
We tend to see the immediate struggles, the day-to-day. But the long-term implications of this systemic failure, they're huge, global, really. And they're shaping generations in ways we're, frankly, only just starting to grasp.
Absolutely. And that's our mission with this deep dive, isn't it? To challenge some of those maybe deep-seated misconceptions, to pull back the curtain on perspectives that have just been overlooked for way too long, and shine a light, a really necessary light, on this quiet, often agonizing struggle that so many boys are going through. And for you, listening, you're going to get a crucial shortcut here, a way to really understand a critical social issue. It's full of, well, some surprising facts, I think, and offers a totally new perspective on these systemic failures, but also, importantly, paths to potential solutions, concrete ones. This isn't just, abstract stats or dry legal stuff. It's about the future of our communities, basic social justice, family welfare. We've really dug into a lot of sources, legal reports, sociological studies, even, testimonials from people on the ground, all looking at this silent crisis. So we're here to give you a structured, kind of comprehensive understanding, its causes, its effects, and yet the remedies we need to push for. Let me try and paint you a picture, something vivid. I think it'll bring the issue to life, make it really real for you. Imagine a young boy, maybe 10 years old. Let's call him Kabelo. He lives in Gaborone, Botswana. Single-parent household. It's bustling but tough. His mother, she's incredible, a hero, truly. Working relentlessly, 2 jobs, maybe 3 sometimes, cleaning offices, selling food on the street, taking in laundry, whatever it takes just to put food on the table, keep a roof overhead, get Kabelo his school stuff. She's exhausted, you can see it, but she's determined.
A familiar story for so many, unfortunately.
It really is. Now, Kabelo's father, where is he? Just absent, not in the picture. There's a court order for child support, mind you, but he's like a ghost in their lives. And here's the kicker, the really heartbreaking part, the system. The actual system designed to protect Kabelo, to make sure he gets that basic support, that safety net, it's failing him utterly. And it's not just Kabelo and Gaborone, it's thousands, probably tens of thousands of boys like him across Africa, across the globe, really.
Yeah.
Their potential, their sense of security, it's just being eroded quietly, day by day.
Yeah. And when you step back from that single powerful story and look at the data, the scale becomes, well, alarming. The numbers from Botswana, for instance, they really underscore the challenge. Our sources point to nearly 60% of children there living in single-parent households.
60%, that's huge.
It's massive. More than half the next generation growing up with one parent shouldering everything. And of those households, get this, a staggering 70% are headed by women. And like you said, these mothers are absolutely heroic, doing incredible things against huge odds. Financial pressure, emotional burden, often isolation, but it forces the question, doesn't it? Where's the systemic support for them? And maybe more pointedly, where's the accountability for the absent fathers? This isn't just a few cases here and there. It's systemic. It shapes the entire developmental landscape for a majority of kids, creates these huge vulnerabilities. The alarming reality isn't just single-parent homes existing. It's the sheer number where that other parent's support, financial and emotional, is just missing. It pushes families into this constant state of, well, just trying to survive.
That's the core of it, isn't it? And it hits on a real blind spot and how we often think about this. We kind of assume, okay, the mother's there, she's doing her absolute best, and they almost always are, so the child must be getting everything they need.
Yeah.
But that's a flawed assumption, especially when we talk about boys. It makes me wonder. We focus so much on the money side of child support, right? But are there specific things boys need developmentally where a male role model is just crucial? Beyond the cash.
That's a really critical point.
Because here's where it gets interesting and often overlooked, I think. Boys specifically seem to need male role models. They need that guidance, maybe a different perspective, a certain kind of support that often only a father figure or, consistent male mentor can really provide. And we're not just talking about any adult. It's that distinct influence.
That's a formative influence, yeah.
Right. It's not about diminishing mothers at all. They're irreplaceable. But it's recognizing that complementary value a father brings. So when the system fails to enforce those payments, it's not just about the money. Though, let's be clear, the money is critical. Food, shelter, school. But it's a deeper denial. It's denying these boys that crucial emotional developmental foundation. And it also maybe inadvertently cuts off or prevents a relationship with their fathers. Which, whatever the parents' issues are, that absence can be profoundly damaging for a boy's sense of self, his identity, his understanding of what healthy masculinity even looks like, his whole path forward.
And this really brings up the question of what child support is for, fundamentally. It's not just a transaction, like you said. It's meant to be this whole legal and moral framework for the child's holistic well-being. So when the enforcement part breaks down, which it clearly does in these situations, the fallout goes way beyond just not having enough money. Our sources really dig into how boys specifically miss out on guidance. Guidance for navigating, societal expectations of masculinity, learning healthy emotional regulation, understanding responsibility, even grasping how respectful relationships work.
Yeah.
Without those consistent male role models, boys can really struggle to develop a healthy idea of what it means to be a man, how to handle challenges, how to form stable relationships later on. They might lack guidance on, say, resolving conflict or assessing risk, or just simple problem solving from that sort of masculine perspective. So the system's failure to connect fathers to their financial duties often leads to an even bigger failure, not facilitating their emotional and psychological presence, even from afar.
And you see the results.
You do. The impact can show up as maybe higher rates of aggression, lower school performance, struggles with impulse control. It all stems back to that fractured foundation. #tag cultural barriers and their devastating impact.
And it gets worse. Tragically, it gets worse. Because this isn't just about flaws in the system on paper or not understanding boys' needs. There are these deep, ingrained cultural hurdles that just make everything harder, especially in many African contexts.
Yeah.
Botswana included. Think about this. In so many communities, there's this huge cultural stigma around women actually going and seeking child support.
It's incredibly powerful, that stigma.
Isn't it? Women get shamed. Shamed for daring to ask for what's legally and morally theirs and their child's. They get accused unbelievably of trying to profit from their own kids, as if raising a child alone isn't already this immense sacrifice. Imagine the pressure. Society judging you for seeking basic support, for just advocating for your child's rights. It's soul-crushing for mothers who are already struggling, forces them into this impossible choice almost. Their child's rights versus their social standing, their peace of mind, maybe even their safety.
Yeah, the fear of ostracization, gossip, harassment, it's very real. It makes the legal path seem just too difficult, too costly socially.
Exactly. Too many obstacles.
And this cultural judgment, if we connect it to the bigger picture, like you said, it creates this vicious cycle, a self-reinforcing loop of neglect that's incredibly hard to break out of. The stigma stops women from pursuing support, which means the boys don't get the resources, financial and emotional, that they desperately need, not just to thrive, but often just to survive.
So the child's lifeline gets cut.
Effectively, yes. Sometimes for generations. Our sources show how this plays out specifically. Maybe elders tell a woman taking the father to court is disrespectful or un-African.
Yeah.
Some traditional practices might push for informal resolution, which sounds good, but often lacks any real enforcement power.
Right, no teeth.
Exactly. So that societal disapproval, it's a powerful disincentive. It reinforces this idea that seeking support is somehow greedy or shameful instead of just necessary, a parent advocating for their kid. It creates this deep silence around the whole issue, makes it hard to even see how big the problem is, let alone build the will to fix it. And it leaves this huge group of children, especially boys, just constantly vulnerable.
You've really nailed the mechanism there, and honestly, it just makes my blood boil. Because what we're talking about ultimately is the future of our nations, the bedrock of communities, entire generations. These boys, left without that crucial support, they're right. They're tragically more likely to fall into these awful cycles. Poverty, often crime. Think about it. No stability, not enough guidance, no fundamental sense of belonging from both parents. It's an incredibly steep climb just to survive. Maybe they drop out of school to help mom, get into petty crime, join gangs looking for, belonging, identity.
A sense of structure maybe that's missing elsewhere.
Perhaps. And beyond those visible outcomes, there's the emotional toll. Invisible but profound. These boys grow up angry, resentful, carrying this heavy weight of feeling abandoned, not just by their fathers, but by the very system that was supposed to protect them. And that resentment, it festers. It can turn into deep trust issues, problems forming healthy relationships, maybe even a tendency towards violence or antisocial behavior later on. It just perpetuates the dysfunction, doesn't it, from one generation to the next, threatens the stability of whole societies.
Absolutely. Those individual outcomes inevitably scale up. They impact the whole society. It's not just about individual families anymore. It affects workforce development, social cohesion, public safety, even political stability down the line. When a big chunk of your young male population feels unsupported, disengaged, resentful, that has consequences. We're talking potentially higher crime rates, more strain on social services, a measurable loss of human potential. These boys, deprived of that foundation, might struggle to get into the formal economy, higher unemployment, more poverty at a national level.
A vicious cycle indeed.
It is. And the lack of proper male role models, that absence of paternal guidance, it leaves a vacuum. A vacuum where negative influences can easily take root, shaping future generations in ways that are really damaging to national progress. It's like this quiet erosion. You don't see it in the headlines every day, but the long-term cost, immeasurable. We're undermining our own foundations, really, creating this group of unsupported, often angry young men who might feel they have very little stake in society working well.
Okay, that's a really bleak picture, and it feels heavy. But we have to pivot, right? We're not just here to outline problems. We're here to demand change and talk about real solutions. And fundamentally, this has to start with education and a massive shift in attitudes.
Ground level stuff, yeah.
Exactly. We need to actively break down these cultural barriers, these outdated, frankly damaging ideas about masculinity that somehow still tell men it's okay to just walk away, to abandon their kids and their responsibilities. This needs like a national re-education, a society-wide conversation that redefines responsible fatherhood for the 21st century. What does it mean to be a present, engaged man? Challenge those gender stereotypes that just dump all the child rearing onto women.
That's key.
And at the same time, empower women. Give them the knowledge, the support networks, the resources so they can confidently seek the support they're entitled to without fear of being judged or shamed. It's got to be both sides, right? Shifting male views and empowering female action.
Definitely. Public awareness campaigns, maybe changes in school curricula, promoting responsible fatherhood, community workshops where men can actually talk about these roles openly.
Yes, all of that.
But you're right. Education and culture shifts are vital, but it also screams systemic problem, which means the legal framework itself needs a serious overhaul. What's really stark from the sources is just how, inadequate the legal systems are in many African countries for enforcing these orders. Take Botswana again. The process isn't just long and complicated. It's described as profoundly ineffective.
Can you give us a sense of what long and complicated actually means for someone trying to navigate it?
Sure. Our sources show a mother often faces multiple hurdles. Maybe resistance from local authorities who lean on customary law over formal legal routes. That discourages complaints right there. If she pushes forward, it's often a lengthy civil suit. Multiple court dates, sometimes traveling long distances, taking time off work she can't afford. It can take months, even a year, just to get a hearing. And then there's the enforcement issue, especially with fathers in the informal sector, which is huge in many places.
Right. How do you garnish wages that aren't just fair?
Exactly. It's almost impossible. Assets might be hidden or non-existent. One study we looked at found that even with a court order, only about 15% of mothers actually received consistent payment.
15%. That's abysmal.
It shows how broken the current framework is. So we need concrete reforms. Streamlined processes make it faster, easier to get and enforce orders. Harsher penalties for non-payment that actually deter people.
Yeah.
Consistently applied penalties, things like wage garnishment from formal jobs, maybe suspending licenses, maybe even short jail terms for really blatant repeated non-compliance, and robust tracking systems, national digital systems. So fathers can't just disappear, move districts, cross borders to avoid responsibility, make accountability harder to dodge. This isn't just tweaking rules, it's re-engineering the whole legal structure to prioritize the child and actually enforce responsibility.
And I think it's important to stress here that this isn't about creating some punitive system just for the sake of it, right? It's not about unfairly punishing fathers.
No, absolutely not the goal.
Not at all. This deep dive, it's about creating a system that puts the child's needs first. Always. The goal isn't demonizing fathers. It's about accountability, yes, but ensuring kids get the complete support they need to thrive. We need to actively promote co-parenting, encourage it, even when parents are separated. The focus has to stay on the child's best interests. And recognizing the distinct, vital roles both mothers and fathers play, they're equally important for a child's development.
Complementary roles.
Exactly. A mother often provides that unique emotional nurturing, foundational care, maybe guidance on relationships. A father often brings something different, but just as essential. Teaching risk assessment, maybe navigating peer groups, fostering independence, modeling certain aspects of identity, especially for boys. They're not interchangeable. Both are crucial for a child, especially a boy, to grow well-adjusted, resilient, responsible. It's about building whole people, not just kids who have enough money.
Precisely. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, what we're really talking about is needing a complete overhaul. Cultural shifts, robust legal changes, broader societal changes, all working together. It's a huge task, no doubt. We're challenging norms that have been around for generations, reforming legal systems that are deeply entrenched and often ineffective, shifting how society views parental responsibility. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. The challenges are huge bureaucracy, tradition, resistance, but every bit of effort, every single step forward, it's profoundly worth it. Every boy out there, Gaborone, across Africa, around the world, deserves a fighting chance. And it's our job collectively to fight for that chance, to make sure their foundations are strong, secure, supportive. The value to society, immeasurable. Stronger families, more productive communities, more stable nations, breaking those cycles of poverty and violence.
So, okay, with a task that big, that multifaceted, where do we even start? Well, we start right here, with conversations like this one. We start by dragging this issue, often ignored, out into the light, refusing to let it get swept under the rug anymore. Change begins when we stop being silent, when we acknowledge the problem.
Naming it is the first step.
Absolutely. We start by challenging our leaders, our policymakers, people in power. Challenge them to take real, concrete action. Hold them accountable. Make them streamline those legal processes. Put resources into enforcement. Invest in those public awareness campaigns. And we also start by supporting the organizations already doing the work, on the front lines, fighting for change, giving legal aid, counseling, practical help to single mothers and their kids. It's about creating ripples, isn't it? From our own conversations out into our communities and up to the highest levels. And what about individually? What can you, listening right now, actually do? To everyone listening, I'd say, speak up. If you see a single mother struggling, if you know a situation where a child's being neglected because a parent is absent, don't just stand by. Offer support. Could be practical, help childcare, a meal. Could be emotional, just listening, being there. Could be pointing them towards resources, legal aid. And if you know a father who's dropping the ball, neglecting his responsibilities, letting the system fail his child, have the courage to hold him accountable. This is about judging from afar. It's about genuine concern for the child, a push for personal responsibility. Have those tough conversations, not to condemn, but maybe to educate, encourage.
It's about community standards in a way.
Yes. And most importantly, if you are a father, or maybe you hope to be one day, hear this loud and clear. Be present, actively, consistently, meaningfully involved in your child's life. It doesn't matter what your relationship is like with the mother. Your presence, your guidance, your support, emotional and financial, it's not just nice to have. It's invaluable, irreplaceable. It's about stepping up, embracing that huge lifelong responsibility of fatherhood, understanding the impact you have on their development, their well-being, their security, their whole future, because ultimately this is about our kids, giving every child, especially every boy, that fundamental chance to grow up healthy, happy, supported, ready to face the world, confident, resilient, understanding what it means to be a responsible, contributing man. We have to break this cycle of absence, build a generation of men who are truly responsible, ready to lead their families, but leading with care, presence, support, ready to build their boys' minds, their hearts, their futures.
Exactly. This isn't just a single mother problem or a fatherless boys problem. It is fundamentally a societal problem. It affects everything, casts this long shadow, influences education, the economy, social cohesion, public health, everything. And because it's societal, it needs all of us working together from every angle. We need to demand better from our systems, make them just, efficient, effective at enforcing support. Demand better from our leaders, hold them accountable for real reforms that put kids first. And maybe the hardest part, demand better from ourselves, hold ourselves and the people around us to a higher standard of parental responsibility, community support. Because the future of our boys, the future of our nation, it literally depends on it. We are shaping tomorrow's men, tomorrow's leaders, tomorrow's citizens right now by what we do and by what we fail to do. Hashtag #TagCheckoutTrivia.
Well, thank you for joining us on this really crucial deep dive today. I know we covered some tough ground, heartbreaking at times, but our aim really was to transform how you, listening, might view child support cases, to move beyond just seeing it as money, to see it as fundamentally about human potential, about societal structure, and about the basic right every child has to a complete supportive upbringing. This crisis facing our boys, it's real, it's urgent, and it needs our collective attention, needs our action.
And it leaves us with a really important question, I think, something I hope stays with you. What kind of men are we building for tomorrow if we don't fix these foundations today? If we don't actively work on fatherhood, on support, if we keep overlooking this silent crisis of father absence, of systems failing, what does that say about our commitment to the next generation of men? The cost is profound. Not just money, it's human capital, emotional well-being, the very fabric of future societies. We need to ask, are we really fostering a culture of male mentorship, of paternal presence, of accountability? Or are we letting this void grow, a void that inevitably gets filled by negative influences, perpetuating these damaging cycles for generations?
That's a really powerful thought to end on. Necessary, too. And it just underscores that truth. Change starts with you. Your awareness, the conversations you have, your willingness to speak up, to challenge things, to act, it can make a huge difference. Be the voice for the voiceless. Stand up for what's right. For every child, every boy who deserves a better future, a future built on presence, support, accountability, and never ever stop fighting for that better future for all our children. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
In the sea of BOK, but who saved the hero at the end of the day? They clap when he stands, not when he breaks. Can't show weakness, too much is at stake. Every boy told not to feel too deep, just holding in, go back to sleep. While fear and doubt eat him alive, and still he smiles to survive. This ain't weakness, this is real. This is asking just to feel. Let the boy cry, let the man rest. Let him breathe and not be less. You say man up, but that don't heal the battles he fights.